obviously, like I didn't love to be called it, but I kind of used it as a compliment because if they have to go out of their just go out of their way to say something like that, then obviously I'm playing pretty well, and I turned it into something that just made me better.
Welcome everyone to Hockey Culture. This is the place where we try to change the culture of hockey, one interview at a time. I'm Anson Carter, and today's guest, pleasure of joining us, Akil Thomas, LA Kings draft pick. Akil, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I want to take it back to growing up. We're both from Scarborough, and Scarborough has a long line of black hockey players who play in the National Hockey League. The Stewart brothers, Wayne Simmonds, myself, Joel Ward, Kevin Weeks. Coming up through Scarborough, were you aware of like the lineage of players that grew up from Scarborough that played in the NHL? Because it's a pretty small, unique group.
Yeah, it's a small hockey world in Toronto, and even in Scarborough, it's even smaller, obviously. So growing up, when I was watching TV and, I'd hear, this guy's from Scarborough, definitely, meant a little bit different to me. And, I'm very proud to say that I am from Scarborough. And, every player that comes out of Scarborough is obviously, just as proud. So, I love it. And, I like to stick to my roots. So it's awesome that, there's been a bunch of players come out of Scarborough and do well in the NHL.
What kind of impact did some of those players have on yourself personally? Because I know Wayne and a bunch of the guys there, Chris and Anthony Stewart, are pretty heavily involved in the community there in Toronto and giving back to the minor hockey community.
Yeah, I mean, in my draft year, I remember Anthony Stewart took me out for a coffee and just basically told me, what to expect come draft day and, come camp after and, everything, that I needed to just know going into the process of being drafted and, having a bunch of eyes on me all the time and, earning my way to, my first contract and stuff like that. So he definitely took me under his wing. That definitely felt good. And ended up just randomly running into his brother, Chris and Wayne in Toronto downtown and almost had the same conversation. So it's a tight group and, they've kind of taken me under their wing and, just the fact that they knew who I am, it definitely made me feel special and, made me feel like I was, maybe a part of them.
And also, in addition to that, your dad played hockey, your uncle Leo played hockey, your mom and dad owned a Tier 2 junior hockey team. I mean, the Thomas family is a hockey family. What influence did they have on your hockey career, and how nice is it to have people that played pro in your family that you could just reach out to talk to them and have candid conversations about potentially becoming a professional hockey player?
Yeah, like you said, we're a total hockey family. I don't remember not wanting to be a hockey player. It was like what I wanted to do since, I could ever remember. And I've just had so much support from my family growing up and, all my aunts, all my cousins, all my uncles, they're all doing whatever they can to just help me and support me and kind of push me further. So, my family sacrificed a lot for me. We moved from Florida to Canada when I was like 11, and that was for my hockey, for an 11-year-old's hockey. So just by things like that, I knew that, my family was completely invested in me. And I think that's what you got to do to young kids. You got to make it feel like, you believe in them and, invest everything you got into them. So, that's why I do what I do. I owe it to my family and, they've just sacrificed so much. So it just keeps me going when times get tough.
Interest in Florida isn't the same. So talk to me about your schoolmates and having those conversations when you played hockey, but also your teammates too, before you guys moved back to Toronto.
Yeah, totally different world. I remember I was always the only kid in my schools in Florida who played hockey. Like when I told them I played hockey, they're like, "What is that?" It wasn't popular over there. But I actually had one black teammate ever in Florida, and we're still like best friends to this day. And I consider him a cousin now. So super tight hockey world down south. It's actually pretty good. There's a lot of good players who come out of Florida. People don't realize a lot, actually, more than people think. But I had a great time down there. I loved it. I had access to a rink. It was pretty close to my house, and my dad got a little bit involved with the rink. So sometimes I'd sneak on before school and just work on things with my dad. And, that's kind of where I took my hockey career a little bit more seriously. It became more of like a job and more of a routine, something I, just did every day. I did 1 hour a day towards, my dream. So it was great growing up in Florida. Then obviously, you moved to Toronto, and if you are 11 years old and you don't play hockey, it's like, what are you doing, right? So total different, culture, and ended up going to private school in Toronto, and it was awesome. I had a great time in Toronto. So, I've just been, privileged to, have a good couple of years growing up.
Did you have any sort of negative experiences playing hockey because of the color of your skin? I always like to believe hockey is getting better when it comes to stuff like that. However, I still get people that reach out to me, parents in particular, that tell me that their kids were subjected to these racial insults. And, if you get one phone call a week or one text message a week, I think that's one too many. And I still understand it still exists. What was your experience like? Because you came up in the game of hockey long after I did.
Yeah, I think just from listening to my dad's stories my whole life, like he prepared me to, handle anything that came my way. And for a while, I guess I was kind of like, well, when is it coming? Because it hasn't came yet. And, I think it was right when I moved to Canada, just because, I was like a really good player from Florida who came out of nowhere, moved to Toronto. And I kind of had a target on my back because I was new, and I was obviously different than the other kids, and I was pretty good. So, a couple different experiences, just the regular stuff wasn't, too bad, wasn't the end of the world. But it was weird. Like when I was younger, I kind of, obviously, like I didn't love to be called it, but I kind of used it as, a compliment, because if they have to go out of their, just go out of their way to say something like that, then obviously I'm playing pretty well, and they're trying to get under my skin. So it was weird. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, but I turned it into something that just made me better. So I didn't I didn't have too bad experience with that. But I'd say the only really bad experience I had with it was actually my first year junior. My billet dad would kind of get drunk sometimes, and kind of told me he was the most racist guy I'll ever meet. So that was tough, and it was a whole experience, and didn't want to tell anyone at the time because I was a 16-year-old, and I didn't want to draw attention to myself, and I just wanted to focus on hockey and all of that. But obviously moved out of those billets after that year, and haven't had a problem ever since, and it was good. But like you said, you guys paved the way for us, and obviously the world's getting better, hockey's getting better with it, but it definitely still exists, and it's definitely something everyone should take into account.
How did you deal with something like that? I mean, a 16-year-old, that's you're so young. I think back to Trevor Dale and what he had to go through with John Van Beesbrook when he played at Sault Ste. Marie with the Greyhounds, and he was around the same age, 16 or 17 years old, and I believe Dale's is still traumatized by it. How did you deal with that, and who did you talk to about that when this was occurring to you?
Yeah, well, it was just weird because like this happened maybe 5 months into me living there, and everything was great. Like I didn't feel like they didn't like me. They told me they liked me. Didn't feel like they had anything against me, and that just came out of nowhere. And it just happened to be that I got a car the next week because I turned 17 or whatever it is when you get your G2, and basically I would just try to avoid them as much as I could. I didn't really feel comfortable sitting down at a dinner table with them. So I basically went to school, went to practice, and tried to go to a teammate's house for dinner and come back for curfew. And they kind of, caught the vibe, and they understood what I was doing. And, my billet dad really didn't like it, and tried to actually sabotage my career. He would, call my head coach and tell him things and make up things. And my head coach would pull me into his office all the time and just be like, "Is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like what's wrong?" So definitely, wasn't the best experience, but I learned from it, and made me better, made me, be able to deal with even more. But yeah, I mean, everything kind of changed after that, and like I said, I haven't had a problem since.
Your level of maturity is clear and it's obvious. And, dealing with lessons not only on the ice and off the ice. You wore the C when you played junior. And the big thing that I've learned about you, just learning more about your story, is when you called up Chris Montador. And I played against Steve Montador in the NHL, and he died prematurely at age 35 years old when he's battling depression for a long time. And you called his brother and you asked his permission if it was okay to wear number 44.
Yeah, so, obviously here in Peterborough, they're pretty traditional, and they don't do high numbers. And to my understanding, your brother wore number 44, and I've worn 44 my whole life. So, I was seeing if, it was okay if I could wear 44 in honor of your brother.
Akil, we're honored and humbled, and for you to wear that number. You know what? Of course you can wear it.
I mean, that says a lot about your character. What was going through your mind when you actually took that step to make that request?
Yeah, I mean, it was an emotional week, right? Like, I go from coming back, from World Juniors and winning, and coming back and just finally being happy to be home, and then I have to decide on a trade in one day, right? And it was tough, and obviously made my decision and got to Peterborough, and I got there and they're like, well, what number do you want to wear? I'm like, well, like, I've always worn 44, and they're like, well, we only go up to 30 or something, and we've only had one guy wear a 44, so we'll get back to you. And then, just from talking with them, he was obviously the last guy to wear a 44 and the only guy to wear a 44. So, just from talking and having conversations with the Pete's GM, Mike Oak, we both thought it was a good idea if I just, called and asked. And, out of respect, we both thought that it was the right thing to do. And, obviously, they were pretty happy that I was going to honor his number. And I actually had a patch on my jersey that said Steve Montador and his number. So it was awesome. It was awesome. And, it was, they had a camera out when I was calling them, so I was a little bit nervous. And, it's a touchy subject. So didn't want to say anything wrong or anything like that. But, it was a great experience. And, I just think that, it was a good thing to do, and made them happy, and made me more proud to wear the number.
Did it ever cross your mind if the family responded and said, who the hell do you think you are asking to wear this number 44?
Honestly, I didn't know what they were going to say. I had no idea. I didn't think that they were going to say no, but I didn't think that they were going to say yes. I didn't know. I was just pretty nervous to call them, and I had no idea. I didn't really go in with any idea of what was going to happen. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking for me.
And that's a character gutsy move. I can tell you, there's a lot of guys I played with in my NHL career that would never have the guts to make that call. So I commend you for doing that. And it's going to take me to my next conversation I want to have with you about the World Junior Championships. You scored the biggest goal of your young career so far, 3:58 left to go on the clock. You didn't play that much. You played a ton in your junior team back home. You play for Team Canada. And everyone knows when you play for Team Canada, you've got to check your ego at the door. I played their Team Canada, won a gold medal also, so I could relate to exactly what you're going through. You're sitting there on the bench. You're not playing that much. The coach taps you, which he has enough faith in you to have you out there on the ice late in the hockey game, and then you come and dangle the Russians. What was going through your mind watching the game and then getting on the ice and scoring the goal? What was that feeling like?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was obviously the best feeling of my life, and obviously my role changed a lot. It was tough to kind of take in at first, but my first U17 camp with Hockey Canada, first interview, they're like, "Can you play first line?" I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Can you play fourth line?" I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Are you sure you're sure?" I'm like, "Yes, I can." So I think Hockey Canada does a really good job at kind of beating that into our heads pretty early. And if it wasn't, then maybe guys in my situation aren't ready to hop into the ice with 4 minutes left in a game that they're not playing much, right? That whole game, obviously I wanted to get out there. I wanted to make a difference, and I just wanted to win. it was the scariest game I've ever been a part of, just with them grabbing the lead and then, us trying to come back. But I really felt like we were going to win the game the whole time. There was no panic on our bench. No one was getting frustrated. Everyone was just waiting for us to score. It felt like so. I think the team energy on the bench and throughout the tournament was just good. We stayed positive and we were just so close as a team that we almost didn't care if we didn't play. We just felt like we were gonna leave Czech with a gold medal, and that was good enough for us. So, I was trying to stay positive that game, and I had a feeling, when the 10-minute mark came in the third period, I was like, there's probably a 50% chance to get one more shift. So I have one shift to score one goal. That's what I was thinking, and time was running out. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm gonna get a shift, I'm gonna get it now. And I literally was telling myself on the bench, like, I'm going to score. I literally said that probably 30 times to myself, 10 seconds up to when coach tapped me. And, when he tapped me, obviously on the bench, when your coach is going to call the next guys out. And I just felt his name or his eyes on my name bar standing up. And for some reason, I just knew he was going to call me. And I got out there. I have no recollection of the shift at all. I just remember just jumping up and feeling something that I've never felt before, and it was an unbelievable experience. It kind of just feels like a movie, right? It hasn't really sunk in. It's just been so cool to say that we won a gold medal. So it's been awesome.
And it's not easy. I mean, there was years when I played for Team Canada back when I won a gold medal in 1994. We had a run of 5 or 6 years where there was gold medals being won every single year. It was just assumed Team Canada's going to win a gold medal. And then there's a string of drought when there wasn't any gold medals, and Team USA started winning some gold medals. So there's a ton of pressure on you guys back in Canada when you put on that Canadian jersey to win the gold medal and to finally come through. Also on top of that, you play for the Peterborough Petes. That's a team that has tons of tradition. It's almost like the Montreal Canadiens of the OHL. So you compound that, you score a gold medal winning goal. What was the feeling like, and how did your life change? Because I remember back in 2003, I scored that game-winning goal for Team Canada in the World Championships, and I was going on vacation, and my mom kept calling me all the time, when are you coming home? When are you coming home? I was like, Mom, I'm in Paris right now. I'm going to see you in a week. And she kept blowing my phone up. So finally we land. I've got my glasses on, no contacts in because I was sleeping on the plane. And this police officer came on the plane and said, is Mr. Carter on the plane? And the flight attendant's like, yeah, he's right there. And I'm looking around, and everyone's probably thinking, is this guy a drug dealer? Is he trying to do something illegal? What's happening? And he pulls me off the plane. He escorts me off the plane. And there's 100 media press there. My mom, she's crying. It's Mother's Day. And I had no idea this was expected. I was expecting this. So what was it like for you when you scored this huge goal and then you returned to Canada? What was the feeling like for you and your family?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Obviously we won the game and we had a long night. And then we packed our stuff at 4 a.m. that night, and we were on the bus at 4:45, going to the airport, which was a 4-hour drive. Got to the airport, stayed there for what it felt like 4 hours maybe before our flight. Hopped on, an 8-hour flight or something crazy like that. So we didn't really sleep at all. And then with a long flight, we finally land, and we wait 45 minutes to get our bags because there's an issue. So it was just a very long day, or whatever you want to call it. And, I just contacted my assistant GM who was picking me up at the time. And I was just so excited to just go home and just sleep and just be by myself. And I've been walking out, and I'm just looking forward to just finding my GM and going home. And there's probably 60 of my family members and 14 cameras. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the last thing I want right now. But, I was super tired, but at the same time, I'm like, wow, all my family came out just to support me for this moment. And, it was truly just the best, time of my life. At the time, my mom was living in Atlanta, and she surprised me at the airport and booked in a flight right away as soon as we won. So it was awesome. It was crazy. And, life did change a lot. I had to take like probably 2 weeks to answer my text messages because, you know, everyone I've ever known texts me, and, you know, I was getting, you know, a lot of messages for interviews and stuff. And it was a busy couple of weeks, and, you know, something I'll never forget. But it was just awesome to see how much I impacted my family and see how proud they were, and hopefully inspire, you know, the kids who are playing hockey in Scarborough. Like, I'm from exactly where they're from, and, you know, I skate the same rinks that they skate at. And so I just, if kids can get inspired by it, and, you know, that's what I want. And, you know, it's cool. It was a cool experience.
Yeah, when I played World Juniors, I was jealous for the guys that played junior hockey back in Ontario because Coach Mason at Michigan State had me fly back to campus right away. I played against Kent State that whole weekend, and the hockey seemed so easy. I think I might have like 8 points that weekend because it wasn't the same level. And then I turned on the CBC in Michigan and watched like all my former teammates dropping the puck at Maple Leaf Gardens. I mean, I was so jealous that they had that opportunity. You guys participated there at Air Canada Centre, now Scotiabank Arena, I believe, when they dropped the puck. And also, you have a street named after yourself too in Toronto. I mean, how proud is your parents and your family to see that they have a street named after you, and also you participating in that ceremonial puck drop?
Yeah, you know, well, the puck drop was awesome. You know, I obviously it's hard to get tickets to Leaf games in Toronto, but you know, I've been to a few, and you know, I idolized those games when I was younger, and it was just the best night ever when I could go watch Leafs play downtown. So just to kind of be the center of attention, like at the ceremony, and having Tavares and I think Wheeler like right in front of me, it was like, wow, like this is kind of cool. So it was just a movie. I don't, you know, I don't know how to explain it any differently. It was just a movie, and just to see how loud the arena got when, you know, they announced that, you know, we're a gold medalist and all that. It was awesome, and I'll never forget it, to be honest. But yeah, the street thing is really cool as well. It's actually in you know, an upcoming development area in Scarborough, and so I thought that was really cool to, you know, kind of be a part of, you know, where I came from. And you know, it's an area where they're trying to, you know, further develop Scarborough and make it look nicer, and, you know, have nicer schools and, you know, nicer neighborhoods and stuff. So if I can be a part of, you know, the, you know, evolution of Scarborough, you know, that means the world to me. And I still don't really know what to think of it. It's just like, wow, it's so cool.
That's amazing. My family and I received the key to the city of Toronto after the World Championships, and it's just the best feeling in the world to be able to share it with your family, because hockey is so important to hockey players to get that ability to play at the next level. But part of that journey is your family supporting you. So to share that with your family, I'm sure you were thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, my family is just one huge hockey family, and, you know, they live, breathe, and die hockey. So it's incredible. You know, I go to my aunt's house, and she has, you know, the picture of me scoring the goal, and I bet you, like, everyone who comes over, like, she's so excited just to tell, you know, that's my nephew. So that's what I love about it the most. You know, I just received a lot of support with my upbringing, and a lot of different people, you know, put pieces together to help me get to where I am. So it's just been awesome seeing my family being proud.
And your family is a hockey family, like we discussed earlier in this conversation. And hockey's such a big part of what the Thomas family does. I just want to get your take. You haven't played in the league yet, but you're an aspiring NHL player. You're one of the Kings' top prospects. What was your take on the recent pause? And when you saw the players decide not to play, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought it made me feel good. You know, it was awesome. Obviously, you know, a couple people were a little bit disturbed that they took a little bit longer than other leagues, but, you know, people have to kind of realize that, you know, it's a white dominant sport, and, you know, before you just, you know, put pause to, like, your playoffs, you kind of got to think about it. You can't just do anything off impulse. And, you know, obviously, it was the right thing to do, and they did it. So, you know, it definitely felt good to kind of feel the, you know, the NHL players kind of support, you know, something that, you know, hits home for me and, you know, my family. So definitely felt good, and, you know, good on them. And, you know, it's just, it's going to change some things, I think. And, you know, obviously they definitely kind of got people thinking about everything a little bit more by doing that.
Did it spark more conversations with your dad who played the game, or even your uncle or your mom who's a big supporter of yourself internally within the Thomas family of what's happening within the world because the pause happened within the hockey world?
To be honest, not too much, just a little bit. I think my dad just kind of feels the same way as I do. My uncle as well. We know that, there's more Black athletes playing football and basketball, and we kind of know that they're going to be the first leagues to kind of do stuff like that. But just to have the NHL follow, it means a lot because obviously we represent a smaller percentage of the league, but just to feel that they're with us and they're going to do the same things the other leagues do, it means the world to us. So
yeah, it was important that there was a player-driven initiative. I know the league's taken a lot of hits from people, but don't really understand that the NBA league didn't shut down. MLB didn't shut down. It was the players. So if you start saying the NHL should have done this, you're taking credit away from players like Kevin Shattenkirk and Ryan Reeves that were able to rally the guys to make and take that stand, because it takes a lot of courage for current players to take that stand. So I think it's important for people to understand that it was a player-driven initiative. And I'm like you. Like, I said that I would have played if it was myself personally, but I never said for 1 second that I disagreed with what they were doing. I totally supported what the players were doing. It took a lot of courage, and it was great. I want to talk about a couple things, because when I played, I saw myself as being an entrepreneur. I know you are too as well. Zale is how you pronounce it, Zale Clothing Line. You started when you were 13 years old. When I was 13, I was trying to catch frogs and play bike tag in Scarborough. And you decided to start a clothing line. Take me through that and what made you decide to start this clothing line when you were 13.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, it started off by, just selling like hockey t-shirts to my buddies at school, my buddies at hockey. And I literally just started because I went to private school downtown and I lived in Scarborough. So I had to subway to school and back every day. And, just waking up in the morning and asking my mom for $20 for the week for bus fare, just, got old. I wanted to kind of be more independent, and, my parents just growing up, they're like, you need to be independent. So I was like, I'm going to show you I'm independent, and try to, start my own income, at 13, but it did well. And I think, that's what kept me going with it. Like, people, supported what I was doing and they liked it. And, at 15, I kind of realized that, I can't be making, cheesy hockey t-shirts forever. So we started to do something that could speak to, a bigger audience and kind of be a bigger scale type of thing. So now it's just lifestyle clothing. And I started with one of my best friends in Toronto, and we've added on some people to obviously take the load off me during the hockey season, and my partner, because he's in school right now. So it's been awesome. It's been a lot, but it's been a really good experience, and I'm learning a lot of different things that I don't think too many 20-year-olds are learning at the moment.
Yeah, that's the one issue I have with hockey players, at least when I played, where guys are so hockey-centric that they didn't take the time to open their eyes to other things that were occurring in the world, because you have to be so focused on playing the game. So I definitely commend you taking that approach. I've talked to Ryan Reeves. He's got 7-5 Brewing Company too. So there's other players in the league that are doing that. I looked at your logo. It looks like the trident. My family's Bajan from Barbados, and it looks pretty similar to the Bajan flag. I mean, was this by design, or, take me through that design, for the logo that you have going on?
Yeah, well, I knew I wanted to start a company. I didn't know what I wanted it to be called. I didn't know what the logo was going to be. And just from brainstorming, I was like, you know what? My mom's from Barbados as well. There's a trident on the flag. Let's use a trident because it's not really used enough, I don't think. And it's a really cool thing. Like, it's a really cool logo. So we just got in touch with some logo designers, and we got basically a modernized trident. And obviously had a bunch of different versions, but the one we picked, hit home right away, and we ran with it. So that's the origin of the logo. And then Zale means the power of the sea in Greek mythology, and just from growing up in Florida, being by the ocean, and going to Barbados during the summer and stuff, it just felt like, it was a cool meeting, and it meant something to me. So it was just a perfect fit, I thought.
And you're not stopping there, the clothing line. You're a co-host on Soul and Ice. I just want to talk to you about that for a second, because I don't appreciate you coming for my job without playing in the league. I mean, right away you're trying to, take a host job. Like, what's going on with this? First you play in the league first, then you try to come for my neck, but now you're trying to come for my job first. Like, what's up with that? Let's talk about that podcast and your involvement and how much fun you're having with that and the conversations that you're having.
Yeah, well, that's pretty funny how that started. My buddy Elijah Roberts, he's a black hockey player who's currently going to Ryerson for this year, but we played in the OHL together in Niagara, and we had a great time together. We were best friends, and we're just those two best friends who just argue all the time. We just be at lunch, and I would just say something that I know he was going to disagree with, and then we'd talk about it for 45 minutes. And so we were just known as, those two guys that were just like give shots at each other. So one of the employees for the Ice Hogs one day was just like, you guys should start a podcast. Like, you guys are hilarious to listen to. And we're like, yeah, that would be pretty funny. And then he just kept telling us that for like a year. And then we're like, okay, well, maybe let's do it. Because, the season ended, and we kind of started about doing and what we'd want to focus on and stuff. And then the year kind of went by. We didn't really do it. And then, we kept on being told we should do one. So we're like, all right, let's do this. And we contacted Kwame because he was the producer of Soul and Ice, the movie. And we thought he'd be the perfect, host, because, he brings that energy. He knows how to do that stuff. Like, that's his profession. So as soon as we got in touch with him, obviously, Kwame, he's going to, do everything 100%. And from the day he joined, he's like, all right, let's get under the NHL network, and we're going to get this guest and this guest. And I'm like, okay, like, I kind of just did this as kind of a joke, but if you want to do it like that, then I'm down for it as well. So kind of happened by accident, but it's cool that, it's under the NHL network now, and we're actually talking about some serious issues, and hopefully, one day we can kind of, make a difference, and just be a platform that, any black hockey player out there or any minority out there can kind of feel he has like a home at, a media outlet, I guess.
So where can we find Soul and Ice?
Yeah, it's on, I'm pretty sure it's on Apple Podcasts, but you can easily go on the NHL website and just, search for the different podcasts they have, and you can click a link on there. Right there has a bunch of episodes. So, yeah, it's been fun.
We'll definitely want to make sure our viewers look out for that. And also, more importantly, because I am a swag monster, how do I find the Zale clothing line? Is there a website that we could get out to let viewers reach out to and see where they can find the product?
Yeah, it's the website's called zaleapparel.com. So you can find everything there, and on Instagram, Zale Apparel, Twitter, Zale Apparel. So pretty basic.
Well, that's good to know. I wear a size large, just so you know. But anyways, Akil, man, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time joining us on Hockey Culture today. I've been following your career even before the World Junior Championships. I know you're in good hands with my guys out in LA, Rob Blake and Luke Robitaille and Nelson Emerson, and also Blake Bolden too. So good luck with the training camp coming up, and we'll be paying attention in the upcoming or the near NHL season. Hopefully on that team.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me today.
Anytime.